Before we get started, just a notice that next week's episode will be a few days late. Some travel plans, some technical issues, whatever it is. We're going to be a couple days late, though, so stay tuned for that. But here is this week's episode. Welcome to Final Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm Adam.
And this week, it's my pick. And I made an excellent pick. It's Why Laud by NxWorries. NxWorries is a super duo made up of Anderson Paak and producer NxWledge. And they've been releasing music together periodically since 2015, when they released their first song, Swayed, via their record Stone Throw's SoundCloud, where it promptly became quite popular. If you don't know who these artists are, Anderson Paak, born Brandon Paak Anderson, is a very well-known Californian R&B artist with 20 million listens on his solo work on Spotify, plus another 11 million monthly listens from his other super duo group with Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic. And the other half of NxWorries is NxWledge, born Glenn Booth, who's a very productive Californian hip-hop producer who's worked with people like Kendrick Lamar, Earl Sweatshirt, Action Bronson, and numerous other people. I say very productive because you go to NxWledge's discography on Wikipedia, you'll see he's released like 80 things.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
Truly crazy. I don't actually know how they started off, as there is not a whole lot about the duo online. I tried looking up NxWorries and like anything, and there's like nothing.
He must have approached Anderson Paak and just said, "Hey, you want to make some music?"
I think that they probably knew each other through like
their record label,
Quelle Chris and stuff.
Certainly.
Like Quelle Chris, Joey Badass, several other artists that have kind of been in and around the LA rap scene, especially with Quelle Chris on Mellow Music Group, also frequently collaborating with the Hellfire Club, where Anderson Paak also has frequently collaborated there as well. So like through Open Mike Eagle, lots of different rappers. I can see how they met.
100%, especially under the same label, being connected, NxWledge being a producer, makes sense. But they released their first album, Yes Laud, in 2016. And today we're talking about Why Laud, which was released in June of 2024. I'm excited to talk about Why Laud as I randomly stumbled across the song 86 Centra when the single released in like April of last year. Mm-hmm. I ended up releasing to the release singles at that point, like on repeat. I was really into it. And then I promptly completely forgot about everything to do with the band, missed the album release in June, and then 86 Centra came in on a playlist. And I was like, whoa, I forgot about this. And the album had released. And it was so good. I absolutely loved this album when I stumbled across it in October. To me, it's a perfect balance of sexy and sad. It takes you from dancing in the kitchen to rolling down the window so the rain hides your tears, as Anderson sings in the song From Here. Reviews of the album are all right, with even the famed music haters Pitchfork giving the album an 8 and saying that NxWorries was able to find beauty in the bruises, because a lot of this album talks about things like loneliness, guilt, and wondering if you really deserve what you have, which are some heavy topics to sing about, but I feel like the balance works. It feels very smooth, very honest and raw, without being depressing and heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who thinks that it's a great album, because it just recently won the Best Progressive R&B Album Grammy a few weeks ago.
What the hell is Progressive R&B?
Jamie, this is obviously Progressive R&B.
Oh.
You can tell because it won the Grammy for Progressive R&B.
Shut up.
Yeah, this is like a defining album for that genre, because it actually won the album for Best Progressive.
Wow, that's crazy.
The Progressive R&B is, I don't know. The Progressive R&B category has been kind of a place for like, they were really popular, but also black. So here's some previous winners of Progressive R&B. Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. The Weeknd's Beauty Behind the Madness, Beyonce's Lemonade, The Weeknd's Starboy, Lizzo's 'Cause I Love You. I would say out of some more recently,
What does them have being black got to do with it? Because the R&B one is also filled with black artists.
Yeah, but that's like for a more like kind of retro R&B aesthetic. This is like how, why isn't Starboy just in the discussion for Record of the Year?
Wasn't it both?
I don't think Starboy was, but
I don't think Starboy was. But basically, it was just like, it was kind of like it feels like historically there's been people have been like, oh, they just give it to somebody because they like, oh, let's give an award for this other person that's like in the lesser category. I think there's also contention because they used to not talk about it during the show. Mm. They would just get, so like Beyonce would win a Grammy, but they wouldn't award it to Beyonce.
Oh, it's like the Oscars before the Oscars.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's a million different categories, and no one cares who wins best lighting, right? Like they're not going to show that on TV. Recently, the category has, I think, actually trended towards actually featuring more experimental and progressive R&B stylings, like Thundercat and Steve Lacy, and
Steve
No
Lacy's
Worries
so
is, I
good.
think, a fair placement on it. It's got a lot of R&B influence, but it's not the strict kind of R&B that you'd expect from, say, like the early 2000s, and has a little bit of that kind of alternative edge to it.
Yeah, it is very odd because like looking at the Grammy Award for Best R&B, it's like 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. It's like, okay. And then you get John Legend a couple years later. Anderson Paak won in 2020. Her, who features on this album, won a Grammy. So it's kind of all over the place. Chris Brown won this year, which is messed up.
Yeah, I know, right? I can't believe we still, like...
Yeah, so it's all over the place. So it's interesting how they have done this categorization. But alas, they have. Jamie, what did you think of this album?
I liked it. It's pretty good. I thought there's that 3-song stretch on the second half of the album where all the songs roll together. I thought that was really slick, and I thought it sounded really good.
I mean, this whole album, like...
I don't.
A lot of it does, not all of it though.
I don't have a ton of. Well, so that one's kind of interesting, actually, Adam, because it does 3 songs that kind of roll together, and then the next song is like a new thought, and then the album basically ends after that. I thought that was kind of cool. The album itself, I don't have a ton of notes on it, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I just didn't have a lot to say about it. I just thought like the backing tracks are extremely confident and they're very catchy. I thought Anderson Paak's voice was good, and some of the vocal effects that they use on the album are kind of very, very neat. And then some of the features on the album are pretty good as well. I like the Thundercat, but I was disappointed they didn't have him play bass.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've noted down as well. So on Anderson Paak's voice, it is. I can see people not liking it. You know, it's gravelly. It's like you're smoking auntie. But I find it really worked for me here compared to other stuff I've heard him in. Maybe that it's because it's slower versus some of the features on songs with Bruno Mars and Mac Miller and other things I heard in the past. And I think, yeah, maybe a lot of the kind of talk rapping works because of the subject matter and how raw it is.
They sometimes put a vocal filter on him, and he sounds a little bit different. I tried to pick it out on one of the songs, and I thought it was the person that was being featured on it, but it turned out it was him. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, no, the album was quite enjoyable. I did enjoy like some of the songs are over before you can hate them.
Yeah, there's a lot of short songs. Like there are 19 songs on the album.
Yeah.
But it's only 44 minutes. So
That's
things
right,
are moving pretty quick. Even if you start to like it, it's like, well, you're on something different.
And then the last track is barely worth talking about.
It's a little outro interlude or instrumental.
So
what do you think, Adam?
Yeah, it's a cool album. One thing that I noticed is that there's so many features on this album, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, it doesn't feel crowded by a bunch of different extra personalities. The identity of the album is maintained throughout, and everybody's used quite well. I mean, I guess on the first track, there's kind of a feature from Dave Chappelle, who has been, I don't know, involved in less than savory.
Between Dave Chappelle and Snoop Dogg, like Snoop Dogg also with promoting Donald Trump and doing all this stuff, and then Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, at least
really
this was
hard
before
on
Snoop Dogg went like full Donald Trump. Yes, because this came out in 2023.
Yeah, this is
Snoop Dogg just
before.
made his turn on Donald Trump, and Snoop Dogg was very vocal anti-Donald Trump until he decided that he could get money playing the inauguration.
It turns out he did get money for that.
Yeah,
of course he did. Snoop Dogg will do literally anything for $1.
True.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can say very against and then supports in the same way. I don't think maybe there's some performative stuff. But
Snoop Dogg was like very openly against Donald Trump on
he had
Twitter
that whole "fuck Donald Trump" song too. That was, but keep in mind that there's 8 years between that and now.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. Another thing to note is like the album does have a very similar vibe. It's very warm, slow, dark. There's a lot of electric or acoustic guitars. Very spacey, very vaguely sad.
Yeah.
I don't mind, but if you're looking for like a journey it doesn't really happen here. It's very similar.
I do enjoy that he says, "Damn, 3 slow jams in a row." I was like, "Yeah, you got me there, dude." Yeah.
At least you're like aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so smooth it can almost slip past you. Like if you're, but I think the nice thing is that the production is so good that like anytime you like decide to tune back in, you're gonna find something interesting and good to listen to. That was honestly the most stunning thing is just Knxwledge's production to me. It's like insane how good this album sounds with all of the layers. Nothing sounds overly crowded, but also things don't get lost in the mix. It's really got to be one of the best engineered albums I've heard in a long time.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so wide too. They're not afraid just to put an instrument purely far away in the back left of the speaker, and then have something doing a very similar sound but differently in the far right speaker, just kind of tucked away.
So Knxwledge gets credit for all that stuff. Some of them are samples, some of them are not, but there's no instrumental breakdown. So we don't know, did Knxwledge do all the work? Is it all program stuff? It's not completely clear. The only people that really get credited on the album are the people that get featured. So
yeah, and even then, not all of them are credited when you look at the song titles.
No.
For example, Distant Space does not list Last Artful and Dodger as features, whereas everyone else does get called out, which is interesting.
It does do that on Spotify.
Yeah, why is he featured on track 7?
Who?
Knxwledge is on
Mine doesn't show it.
On YouTube Music.
Oh, yeah,
Where I Go is
on mine,
featuring her and Knxwledge, and I was like, I hope it's featuring Knxwledge.
Yeah, mine just shows her.
Also, it's the only title where
Whoa, we're gonna
they
get there.
add
We're gonna
spaces.
get there. Every other song, since I guess we're talking about it now. Every other song on the album has the words combined into one, except for "Where I Go," which is I don't know why.
It's
No
a
idea.
choice.
I'm wondering if it was like a sequel that came out, or a single that came out far ahead of the album.
No, it wasn't. I think it might have been the last
It
one.
was. The first single, Where I Go, was released on October 22nd.
It was the first.
The album didn't
one.
come out until 2 years later, so they probably hadn't decided on the whole no spaces thing until
Just
later.
change it.
But then, but my streams.
It's not about the streams.
It's about the streams a little bit.
It's about the one last listen we're about to give this album.
I love her from head to toe and in between. I know we do a lot of back and forth. I know we do a lot of fast and slow. Love of your life. You know that I'm trying to be. Daydreaming when I met you. It's in the same old high. You couldn't fight it. Can't live without it. Yeah, nah, don't cry. It's sad, but shit happens sometimes.
Thank you. The album starts with a spoken word piece by Dave Chappelle where he talks about how he hates the word deserve and how he thanks God for what he has when he sees people with less. And he thanks... Let me start all over again. The album starts with a spoken word piece by Dave Chappelle where he talks about how he hates the word deserve and how he thanks God for what he has when he sees people less fortunate and thanks God for an opportunity when he sees people more fortunate than him. He goes, by the grace of God, I hope I'll have that someday. I'm not a huge Dave Chappelle fan. Surprise, surprise. But it's a nice intro that kind of sets the vibe of the album because, like, it's a lot of realizing afterwards what you have was great, as well as realizing afterwards what you've done is really bad, and trying to rewire yourself to be like, I should appreciate what I have now.
I think I'm a lapsed Dave Chappelle fan. Like, when I was growing up, Dave Chappelle was everywhere.
He was the hotness. He's a Kevin Hart.
Yeah, and his TV show was hilarious.
The Kevin Hart of Jamie's generation.
Well, Kevin Hart is also the Kevin Hart of my generation because he was around then too.
I was gonna say I think Dave Chappelle had a more significant.
He's
impact.
the Rock of
No.
Jamie's generation.
Well, he's like the Chris Rock of my generation, I guess.
The Chris
Yeah,
Rock is of your
But
generation
Chris,
too.
yeah, is also
Chris Rock is also
But Chris
of my
Rock I'd say is
generation,
a little bit preceding.
He's the Kai Cenat
No,
of Jamie.
I don't like what
I
you
think
just said.
Dave Chappelle is like, ooh, it's a sun shower outside.
Yeah, it's
Do
beautiful.
you know that every time this happens, a baby lion is born? Dave Chappelle, I think, obviously, has such an important and massive legacy, and it's a shame that he's decided to tarnish it by.
Also, he's tarnished it by like smoking 800 cigarettes and sounding like he's 600 years old.
It's a little different from the other way he's tarnished his reputation.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say.
yeah,
I was gonna
yes.
say. I think out of all of the crimes he's committed, the trans phobia is a lot worse than him smoking cigarettes and having a bad voice.
Yeah, and also, didn't he have Elon Musk on stage and
And then everyone booed Elon
everyone
Musk.
booed, and he didn't understand. He was just trying to defend.
Everyone
He's like, why are
booed
people
Elon Musk
booing
to the
him?
point where he shuttered himself in his office, and apparently they almost called the police because they were worried about his well-being.
Yeah.
Classic.
Could you
We see that
imagine being
more
brought
often.
out on stage and being booed for 10 minutes straight?
Yeah, it's happened to me once or twice. It's crazy.
Oh, Bell, you know what you did, though.
I know. But yeah, it sets the album off on an interesting tone. Again, whether or not the man makes sense, I like the
I like
The sentiment
sentiment's
is
cool,
good.
you know?
Yes. I also enjoyed the little 80s singing in the background, like 80s style, I guess.
After that, we get 86 Sentra. This is a great first song on the album. It's a slower, more relaxed beat with some subtle guitar playing deep in the background, some fun synth and drum work driving things forward. Lyrically, it's somewhat of a brag song with Paak rapping about drinking Bruno Mars's rum, making great music, pumping up Knowledge's beats, and how he got to do a Super Bowl halftime show. So you know he's out of your league. There aren't many. I think this is the only brag song on the album. There are some things where he mentions like having money, but it's usually to woo somebody.
Yes.
It's not just like I'm great. This is the first song that I heard by NxWorries, and I still enjoy it. I don't think it's the best song on the album, but I do enjoy it. I like this more relaxed style of rapping with more melodic beats. Like Adam had said, it's really easy just to put on, and I do so.
This is I didn't really enjoy the way he rapped on this one, but I was like, oh man, I hope the rest of the album isn't like this. And it turns out the rest of the album isn't quite like this. It's different.
It's mostly Paak singing.
Yeah.
Like there is rapping, but it's a lot of singing.
Yeah. And I quite enjoy his singing and perhaps not his rapping.
What do you think, Adam?
Did you know that his before he called himself Anderson Paak, he called himself Breezy Lovejoy?
Cool.
I get behind that. That sounds like Reverend Lovejoy's like.
I would never listen to somebody with that name in my entire life.
What if it's Reverend Lovejoy?
No, Breezy.
Yeah, but that's his like rap name. Breezy Lovejoy.
Anyways, I think he just references back when he used to have mutton chops, and he went by that name, and he wore a hat.
Wait, he had mutton chops? That's wild.
Yes. This was back in the day, back like 15 years ago at this point, when he was still going as Breezy Lovejoy / first changing his name to Anderson Paak and releasing some of his solo albums like Malibu, which I was a big fan of. Always thought he's been a super charismatic performer, and I've always really appreciated his rapping, and I like it when he brings it out. He kind of knows when to do it, and I appreciate that. He's usually mostly R&B singing and vocals. The production on this track, I like the bit crushed drums. It reminds me of stuff that like produced by like Earl Sweatshirt and some on like Odd Future and stuff. This song immediately made me think I Need That Sloppy, which makes me, because this reminds me of Mama, the song that Knowledge produced on To Pimp a Butterfly. It's what a beat. It's such a great, smooth, like nod your head kind of beat. It's so cool. I love it. And I think the rapping on top's great. I wish it was longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only a minute and a half. After that, we get Move On. Man, the backing track in this one is so good.
Yes,
I love
I
the
wrote that
acoustic
down.
guitar that's stereo separated. So it's the plucking in the left with light strumming in the right. But again, it's so wide. The vocalizing is also a neat touch that adds a lot of substance with there being a more prominent ooze. But there's also that kind of feels like a shaker in the background.
Yeah.
Really, really like
This
it.
reminded me of like 90s R&B.
Sure.
It's the most 90s R&B sound on the album, I
With
think.
the trumpet that comes in really quietly, too. Amazing.
The breathing. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. That really killed it. In the song, Paak raps about how he's lived a hard life and seen things that have really affected him. And as he gets older, he has to accept that he can't live the same lifestyle he had previously, realizing that if he wants to go to heaven or even be surrounded by people that love him for him instead of his money, he needs to change. It's a good song. He can't do the things that he used to do.
Yeah, the ending is so relatable. Can't move the same way I used to do. Can't do the things I used to do. It's cool. And I'm only 30. Like, I know the 30-year-old talking about how old he is.
Oh,
whatever.
God,
But,
you're
like,
so old.
I just think, as anybody who goes through
It's all downhill from
growth
here.
explains. I mean, it's been downhill since
25.
1995 for me.
Boom.
I'm not gonna lie.
Boom.
Um,
After that, we get Keep Her. Our first feature has Thundercat.
Thundercat.
Man, do I love Thundercat. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the most famous bass players out there, and it really is cool to see him as a feature. But as a singer instead of a bass player.
He's got a nice voice.
Maybe he's playing the bass, but it's nothing crazy. Like, he's really well known for his noodling.
Yeah.
It's really restrained. I like his falsetto. It matches well with Paak's rapping, being the focus, but very, very cool.
I didn't realize that Thundercat was previously a member of Suicidal Tendencies, which is like a thrash metal band.
he gets around.
Yeah.
He does. His solo stuff is very good. Definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, Drunk is a really fun album.
I like the one where his head is halfway under the water.
Yeah, that's Drunk.
Oh, yeah, that's a
and
good
that's the
one.
one. The first song it is. I feel weird. Beat your meat. Go to sleep.
Isn't one like called Dragon Ball Underwear?
Dragon Ball Do-Rag is on.
Oh
his
yeah, I got my
next
Dragon
album.
Ball do-rag.
Yeah. Hey girl, how you like me in my do-rag?
So good.
It's so funny.
Yeah, this song is about Paak being cheated on by his girl and realizing that no matter how much he spends on her, she's checked out and secretly seeing someone else on the side.
Yep.
And has now told him it's over. There are some funny lines in this one.
Oh yeah.
I love how are you gonna compare me to this guy? He don't love you the way you don't even look good in the Honda. And you said you needed peace, spent a week in Greece, phone off. You said you were asleep. I know you're getting your cheeks beat. So funny to me.
Yeah, and the double C's on the sneakers also just very clever lines. It's weird listening to this after knowing that he just went through a divorce like
Yes.
just a couple years prior.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how much is fabricated because, like, a couple years, did all of this happen within that couple of years? Because he talks a lot about, like, dating a 21-year-old, and then, again, we'll talk about it later. But there's so many things that it's like, how much is fabricated, how much is him, how much is knowledge,
Also, like,
how
maybe
much is
none of
whatever.
it's about her at all, and this is just kind of a fabricated
He had
thing.
been married to his wife for like 13 years. And then in his Wikipedia article, it says that wasn't even his first marriage. He doesn't talk about his first marriage.
Well, the dude's kind of old.
Well, he's 39. He's not that, like, it's not old.
I mean, you're 39.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like that's old enough to have two marriages.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to get married real young. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer song with him realizing it's really over and seeing that he wasn't at his best with her and drinking heavily before realizing he's opening up too much and the song ends. I like the little bit of anger in the lyrics for most of the track with him blaming her for leaving, only for one or two lines at the end of the song revealing that he was actually a big part of the problem before everything fell apart. Really kind of fun storytelling to do it that way. After that, Distractions. More excellent guitar in this one.
Yeah.
Really, really like it.
Sweet and short.
It's a fun song lyrically with Paak. Counting up from 1 to 13 with the start of each bar. I didn't actually notice when I listened to the song just casually and then reading the lyrics. I was like, oh yeah, one piece can grab me all access, 2 glasses filled with old fashioned, tree leaves and Luigi something. No. But it just counts all the way up to 13, then kind of ends. Like
That's
there's a
it?
chorus and it's over. Story wise, it's him singing about how he's not really looking for anything romantic, but then finds himself falling for a freaky girl. I think it's mainly the counting gimmick, so the subject kind of bounces around a bit so that you can make each line start with a number. But I don't think it matters because the song just sounds good. Like I just want to listen to this.
Yeah, I love the guitars pan to the sides with the tape waver, the muted horns.
The horns
It's
are so
such
good.
a good song. A highlight for me on the album.
Yeah, I enjoyed both of those. Yeah, the tape waver is very neat. Yeah, it is so short that even if you didn't enjoy it, you're already on to the next one anyway.
And if you didn't enjoy it, I hate you.
Wow.
It's a good song. I don't know how anyone couldn't like it.
So true. And then we get Lookin', which kicks off the second side of the album. It's just a repeating little beat with a simple sample before it changes up at 45 seconds.
Wait,
And we get the
how many sides of this album are there?
4, so it's 2
Oh,
LP.
it's double
Really,
LP.
it's 44 minutes. They could have just put it on.
I
to 2.
paid, spoiler for the end, I paid for the audiophile edition.
So it's on 45s?
Yeah. Anyways, so 45 seconds. Then we get the intro to the next song played over radio, and Paak says that he wasn't ready to play it again. I don't know. This song, I like the strings. I don't think it's really anything special since the loop is short, so it's kind of, I wouldn't say annoying, but it's not, like, I love this song. It reminds me of something that'd play on, like, a L'Orange album. Like, it's just, like, a really short, distorted sample with some instrumentation.
It's like 50 seconds long, so.
It's cool. It feels like some of the like kind of runs through like Mad Villainy with like the random interludes and stuff.
Sure.
Sure.
Then we get Where I Go. Like I said before, this is the only song not written entirely as one word, which is interesting. I think that makes sense. It was the earliest. I thought it was the latest, which I was like, that's odd. This is my favorite song on the album, though, and is a song I go back to the most. It's a very romantic song. It's kind of sexy. Makes you want to dance around, with your girlfriend in the kitchen or your partner. You want to do a little bump and grind.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure. All right.
In this, Paak sings about how his girl is always following up with him, trying to spend time, and how even though this can be a bit hard, she puts faith in him and loves him fully, and he loves her fully. He sings about putting something in an envelope for her that'll make her hysterical, and it feels like an engagement thing, but like, why would you put that in an envelope?
Yeah, it's weird.
And then mail it to them.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm on tour, but we're going to get married when we get back. I don't know. This song features her, who's an expert at making romantic, sexy songs. And her verse is a little contradictory with her singing about how loving her man comes natural to her, but she's been hurt previously. And though it's in the past, it's hard to trust because, she knows that he's been
that was
a
what I
piece.
picked up out of it. Yeah, that she's always asking where he is because she doesn't trust that he isn't cheating on her.
Yeah. I like the clash of that romance and Paak's and hers doubts, as it again tells the story of an unreliable narrator. It goes, he says, you don't trust me even though I love you without reservation. And she goes, yeah, you cheated on me. So you can't just trust what Paak is singing about because he's obviously seeing it through his own lens.
Sure.
And has made mistakes himself.
Was that an electric sitar on this on this song? I'm trying to pick up that instrument in the background.
Yeah, I could hear that. He's listening, but I'll continue talking then.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I liked it.
The backing track is really solid. I don't think it stands out as anything extremely special compared to anything else, but it accents the singing really well. So it's doing its job. It allows you to focus on the vocalization.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Adam?
I don't like this one that much.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I just think it's this comes into like one of my kind of issues with the album as a whole is that it's too smooth for me. That I feel like
you want your album to be more combative?
Yeah. Yeah, a
Come
little
at you
bit.
I
with
love
a
being
knife?
tired when I listen to an album.
I like being stabbed by music.
I just feel like the beat's cool. It doesn't. The song doesn't develop that much. The choruses like don't really hit on this song for me. It's a great sounding track. I would never turn it off. But I zone every time I try to listen to this song the whole way through. I get distracted. I like not a bad song. I don't want to like. There's
I
nothing.
don't know if I mind that though. Like, it's okay to put on music and just like enjoy its atmosphere, and I think maybe that's what I get from this song. It's like I just enjoy having it on. I'm not actively listening to everything they're saying, so for me, it's just like I like the vibe that it's giving. If it's inoffensive, great.
Yeah, I mean, I would put this album on frequently.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you, as Jamie said earlier, it's like if you're looking for a journey, this is not that kind of album.
I get credit for that.
I believe he said that, but that's fine.
As Jamie said earlier.
As Jamie nodded when Bell said earlier.
Yeah. As Jamie said with his deep baritone.
Well, what do you think about Daydreaming? Because it's quite a bit of a switch up instrumental.
I love this one, actually.
It's got those huge 80s drums.
God,
the hip-hop.
the synths, the fuzzy reverby electric guitar. What a vibe.
Yeah.
What
It's
a vibe.
vapor wavy.
Here Paak sings about how he's feeling like he's daydreaming every time he sees this girl and how he hopes that she'll kiss him to prove he's not dreaming. It's simple, but it fits the instrumental. If just such a vibe.
It sounds like the lick. Like, you know, the jazz like that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like the lick.
No.
Sure.
Okay, there's a thing called the lick. It's a meme now. But the guitar part makes me think of the lick. And, yeah, banger. I love this track. So smooth. I like the more emotive vocals on this from Anderson Paak, almost yearning. Tell me you die for me kind of stuff.
Damn.
It's a cool track.
There's also a sweet guitar solo at 2 minutes, and it fits perfectly, which is wild because there's no other solos on the album.
No.
And you wouldn't think to expect it on this album. But it's a perfect time to switch things up, as I think the song starts to feel a little stale instrumentally, and then it kind of comes in to switch things up.
It's the kind of guitar solo Prince would do. You know?
Sure.
Like a crunchy guitar solo on a smooth track.
As a person who has seen Prince, yes, I will say that is true.
I was flexing same things.
That was one of the best concerts I've ever gone to, I swear to God.
Well, up next we get From Here featuring Snoop Dogg and October London. October London does some backup singing in the chorus. And
Snoop Dogg's
Dogg does
verse
some
is
spoken
barely
word.
worth talking about.
Well, yeah, it's just spoken word like the Dave Chappelle one. I love the bass work in this one. It's a similar vibe to the first part of the album, but the more prominent bass and noodling guitars work really well with October London singing. It's just so good.
I like the kind of James Brown affectation he puts on when he's like back to back to back slow jams. I love that. The attitude and the vibe. This is a cool track.
Yeah.
Slower, soulful.
Yeah, he's singing about loneliness with him feeling alone in the club when the lights go down, feeling like everywhere has someone to go, yet he doesn't. After this, he sings about him sitting in the car, drinking at 3 a.m. just outside the club, and when slow jams come on the radio, he rolls down his window to let the rain hit his face to mask his tears.
Word.
The spoken word outro, Snoop talks about how many people say the worst thing to happen is to come home to an empty bed, but then counters saying the worst thing is coming home to change locks and your stuff outside because your partner has kicked you out. And I think, that would be pretty bad, but maybe it's not the point that people are making in the first part of that. You're just, it'd be worse to be shot in the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Snoop's speaking voice is really good, though. And it pairs with this instrumental perfectly. And the backing vocals, even though it's just a weird little story, funny kind of skit, it does work really well.
They say the worst thing you can do in the morning is eat cereal, but I would say the worst thing you can do in the morning is get hit by a bus.
Hey man,
Jamie. Yeah, man. It was fun. I liked the multiple harmonies on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were kind of cool. Nothing real standout about it. It was just fun. I like the fact that he acknowledges the back-to-back slow jams because I thought it was kind of funny. It was just very, I don't know what the word is, breaking the fourth wall, I guess.
Classic.
Yeah.
After that, we get Fall Through, another bump and grind song. Starts off strong.
Aggressively horny.
Yeah. It starts off strong with talks about how good his girl tastes and how she makes him want to tell her he loves her. He then talks about how he's feeling ready to pay for everything she wants and just have her spend all her time with him. It's a little repetitive with it just being one verse and most of the song being a repeated chorus, but it's sexy as hell, so I don't mind because you're probably putting this on and then focusing on your partner, not actively listening to this, if you know what I mean. But it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just do all the talking.
No, I think this is great. I think the sweet plum wine, and I can sip all night is a great hook. I agree. It's funny saying that this is kind of on the longer half of the tracks, being only at 2 minutes, just because there's so many 90-second little tidbits. It almost retreads the same ground a little too much, but is cool. But I just want to get to the next song.
Battlefield.
Yeah.
Here, Pac raps about his upbringing with him losing his innocence young, how he was jaded and felt like he needed forgiveness, and how now that he's a man, he has to fix the problems he made for himself when he was young.
The sample at the beginning is really good. Yeah, I liked it.
That beat's so good.
Yeah, this is a more traditional kind of rap backing track, which is a nice change. But of course, the production value is still very high with little swelling background vocals, stadium audience noises, and other little switches to keep things interesting. I love the chorus as well with how wordy it is. They're all kind of da 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 da. I'm like, oh man, it's so fun to listen to.
Talks about how both of his his father's a twin, and his twin did time for his father.
Yeah, his father was an awful person who beat his mother.
Yeah,
and was supposed to go to jail for 13 years.
Yeah, and his twin went instead.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mom went to jail for committing fraud.
Mm-hmm. We've all been there.
Well, commit tax fraud. Let's go.
Yeah, the outro is also fun with the female singer just vocalizing and singing "la la la" as things wind down. It's a very dynamic song compared to others, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
The next song I think is funny.
Please tell us more.
Well, so basically he's coming out. The song is called "Here I Am." I like the lyrical story of him being like, "I'm back on the market, baby, come and get me." But then you come to the pathetic realization that he's talking to his ex, some ex in the past that he's like, "I know we haven't talked in several years, but hey, you want to bang?" It's just kind of pathetic, kind of sad. It's really, it's a funny, ironic twist on the I'm a eligible bachelor and I'm crawling back to somebody I mistreated.
Yeah, even then, when he finds someone new, he describes her as young, dumb, thick, bad taste, before again acknowledging that his ex is actually with a new partner and is succeeding in a new relationship. He's like, dating a 21-year-old when you're, what at the time, 30, whatever he was, because we don't know when this would have been, is yet not a flattering take. But the backing track is amazing. I love the organ, very heavy organ usage. So good.
Yeah, the organ on this one is good. And the outro is funny.
Yeah, so the song ends with a short skit of someone asking Paak what happened between them and their ex, because she was a catch.
House rules.
As Paak gets more and more angry as this person asks questions until he explodes.
I told you not to ask about that.
And the glass shatters to start off the next song, Out the Way. I love the lo-fi feel in this one. It's kind of similar to Daydreaming, but it's just not guitar, it's just synthy.
Yeah.
It's bump and grind again. It's like Daydreaming and Fall Through combined. Though it's bump and grindy, the song is about how he's told his woman he doesn't want to be monogamous, but spending time with her is making him want to change his mind. How romantic is that?
I don't care for the moaning male voice in the background throughout the whole track.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it didn't bother me either.
I don't know. He's like, I'm just like, maybe it's just because I wish it was me.
Classic. This song features Ray Khalil, and she just has a short verse on this song, though she comes back later.
Yeah.
And I got to say, she sounds so much like SZA. Before I actually looked, I just thought it was SZA.
Fair.
And I was like,
yeah,
it's not.
sure. That's a good, yeah.
She does great, though. I prefer on the next song, but I don't dislike this. I like Fall Through. It's a little repetitive, but I think due to the nature of the song, again, which is being a sexy bump and grind song, whatever, I guess. But if it's not your vibe, I mean, you're not going to enjoy it.
And then we get the She Used. It's got a weird vocal effect that I'm okay with because the song is good even with it.
Just pitched up his voice a little bit.
I'm not a huge fan due to the pitched up vocals.
I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it regardless.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I feel like Anderson Paak didn't really need it. I'm not sure if they're trying to do like a youthful affectation by pitching up his vocals. But I love the sunny soul vibes on this track, and the sample in the back end of the track is so good.
Yeah, it's another song about trying to keep feelings for someone, with him singing about how the end of the relationship was his fault, and every time he has sex with someone, he feels unattached from them and moves on. But at the end of the song, the cycle repeats. At the very end, it's just like him singing about how he's so in love with this woman because she called him baby. And then I'm sure the cycle repeats. It's a fun enough song.
I wish the whole song was the outro. She calls me baby. Yes, she does. It's such a good vocal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful track.
Well, up next is More of It, which feels a little bit more like an interlude with things moving pretty quickly. Paak sings about talking with strippers after getting lap dances, then spoiling them with money, and ensuring that these dancers, that he has more money since he just paid off his mom's mortgage.
Yeah, this is that started that 3-song grouping where they all kind of fade into each other or fade out. You know what I mean? They're all joined together kind of. But together, all three of the next, or this song and them, and then the next two are under 3 minutes. Or sorry, under 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the song ends with a voicemail from his mom asking him to call her back. She says that he's at the Dodgers game, but I imagine he's actually at the strip club, considering these conversations about how he's been paying his mom's mortgage and how much money he has and everything like that. It's decent enough. The backing track's fun with the strings and piano. We don't get a ton of just like piano playing, but it's nothing special overall.
And then you get Never Remix. NVR.RMX featuring Charlie Wilson.
I like
Charlie
how the song starts off with that
voice.
slowed chorus.
Yeah.
Ooh, so good. It's a little eerie with him singing about how he never meant to hurt her and let her down, and how he hopes it's not too late to make things better, which pairs with the verses about not being able to get over this girl and how the painkillers he's been using to try to make himself feel better is not actually healing him. In the final chorus, Paak kind of rambles and yells as he spirals and spirals, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, the strings, the sample on this track.
Charlie Wilson has a very smooth voice.
Mm-hmm.
I like him.
Yeah, it's not a song you're going to listen to super often outside of the album, but I think it's good as a whole, as a piece of this whole album.
And then we get Distant Space featuring the Artful Dodger. Sorry, the last Artful Dodger, comma Dodger.
It's I have it the last Artful and Dodger.
I think it's two people.
No, oh no, I thought it
Mine
was.
has an
I thought,
ampersand.
they showed it as one guy.
Mine has an ampersand, but there is a recording hip hop artist named the last Artful, comma Dodger,
Yeah,
Oh.
that's his name. Yeah,
or her.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Their name.
I don't know why it's an ampersand on some releases.
And they're the only one not credited on the album and the song title on streaming, which is interesting.
Oh, I have them as.
yeah, they're
credited
credited on
my
Spotify.
Oh,
So
just have them
clearly,
there.
it's just a mess on their end.
Yeah.
Stone's Throw, get your stuff together.
Classic. It's another short song
Yeah,
with Paak singing about how even though he's surrounded by people, when he closes his eyes, he sees her and wishes he had more time with her. This guy is sad AF, and someone needs to check on him.
brother.
Good song, nothing special, but I enjoy it.
I appreciate an Oliver Twist reference in your rapping name.
Sure.
Nice. I have no preference about the amount of Oliver Twist references.
I would. All this album was missing was just like a glorious food type moment.
Isn't that just from the musical Oliver?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Which
But the Artful Dodger is also in the musical Oliver.
yeah, but not the Full Glorious Food isn't in the book, right? I've never.
I don't
read
think
it.
they wrote the song in the book. No.
All right.
Well, up next is Walk On By.
Fact check.
Which
What are you
is
fact-checking?
features Earl Sweatshirt and Ray Khalil again. It's the last song, like full track on the album. I really like this.
Yeah, I will always show up for an Earl feature.
Yeah.
This is a great end of the album with a bit of a lighter feel, even though the lyrics are still sad with him singing about someone wearing sunglasses to hide the tears. But he's okay and able to realize that sometimes stuff just happens.
Yeah.
You gotta move on.
There's
I also will show up for an Earl feature every time.
There's a little vocal effect on Paak's voice. It's fine, I think.
Is there?
I don't know. I got confused with. I thought someone else was singing, and then maybe it was just because like the last three tracks were like so joined together that I was listening for something else. But
Interesting.
Earl Sweatshirt's verse is pretty good.
Yeah, I've never listened to much of his solo stuff, but every feature I've heard of his, or random song from his albums I've heard,
Yeah.
I really enjoy. He raps about how people are jealous of his success, even though they spend their money on drugs while he's growing himself to be a better person. And then Ray Khalil comes back in for the bridge where she sings about paranoia, which clashes a little bit, but I'm assuming that she's the one that Paak is singing about, with wearing the sunglasses to hide the tears, and being kind of always seen as a public person, but also feeling invisible when people walk by you and when you're going through stuff. Ray's also a fantastic singer, so I'll be listening. Any thoughts, Adam?
I'm trying to figure out if it's actually a voice filter.
Or I'm just.
I think
not
it's
used-
just layered vocals.
Yeah, it could be.
I think it's just Ray Khalil singing on backing vocals.
Oh, cool. I can find it.
Yeah, I think this is a great finishing track. It really reminds me a lot of Malibu era Anderson Paak, so his solo work stuff, which was an album I really vibed with. So to have him revisit the sound at the end of this album is really cool. I love the throwback. They even threw an extra one on there, an extra one, even more.
Yeah, just a little jazzy instrumental to end the album.
And it's like the sludgiest beat on the album, and I really wish we got more of it. But then they're like, oh, bye. Like, imagine if this had like a Billy Woods or like an Elucid rapping on this. It would be such a cool track. But no, they're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, just something to wind you down, I guess. It's not even really long enough to wind you down at 25 seconds, but it's there.
I feel like the last song was a good enough ending. Mm-hmm. It's weird that they just tacked this on at the end.
Would have been cool if it was another one too. I didn't mention any other side flips, but if it was like a little jazzy interlude to have every flip. But again, I guess he wouldn't really plan it for the 2LP version necessarily, but I don't know. It's cool. Anyways, let's talk about the record itself. As mentioned earlier, I have the audiophile edition. So there are many, many, many different editions of this album, with each one having a different colored like OB spine. So the cover is the same on almost all of them, with it being two goats on a hillscape, and it's black and white, which is cool. It's very visually striking. I don't feel like it really conjures any images about the album to me,
They're
other than
they're goats.
Yeah, and they're alone. They're lonely.
Lonely and the greatest on time.
And on the back, it's just a different section of the hill with all the track titles written in white. Mine came with a brown obi to symbolize audiophile, because everyone knows brown sounds the best.
Oh, the brown note, yes.
And they are 180 grams and play at 45 RPM. And on the inside, in the gatefold, it is a picture of Anderson Paak and Knxwledge on stage with two goats as someone brings them champagne to celebrate.
Incredible.
Greatest of all time.
I like that picture a lot.
Yeah, they're like on stage at a show.
He's got that big freaking
with two goats
the
and a huge
Jamiroquai
bottle.
hat.
He does have the Jamiroquai hat. Yeah, he's in a red suit. It's a very, I'm going to say it. It's an epic photo.
Who makes better baby making music, Jamiroquai or Anderson Paak?
Anderson Paak, 100%.
Yeah, I don't listen to Virtual
never-
Insanity and go, oh, hell yeah.
Nothing like, she's a cosmic girl. No one's like bumping to that.
Yeah, there are a lot of different versions of this. There's a single black LP. There's a gold, smoke, and blue one. There's a Rhymes Like Dimes version that has an alternate cover designed by Rhymes Like Dimes. It's still 180 gram vinyl. I don't like the artwork, though. It's like a kind of cartoony look. I didn't want
weird.
It's like Rhymes Like Dimes, like as in like the MF Doom song?
that. It is an artist named Rhymes Like Dimes.
Oh.
Oh, no. You're right. Designed like Rhymes Like Dimes. Not designed by Rhymes Like Dimes. So, yes, it's probably like the artwork for that song. Very cool. And they have a cassette. If you're really into that, I don't know why you would do that, but you could. And I paid $41 US, which is about 60 Canadian for this audiophile version of the album. And I'm glad I have it. The record sounds amazing. It's a great vinyl record album because it's again, you have somebody over and it's impressive to use vinyl. It's sexy sounding. The only problem is that I'm split on 2 LP versions of albums because it's truly way more inconvenient to get up to flip the album this often when you're like chatting with somebody or you're trying to dance, bump and grind in the kitchen, and then you're like, let me just go flip this record for a second. But the audio quality truly is amazing. I kind of want a second version that is just the 1 LP, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of in pain.
I'd be very curious to hear if there's a big difference because I feel like when you're having people over and in this being a very passive album, I wouldn't mind. I do have albums that sound amazing and I listen to them because they sound so good, but I also think this one is probably one that would benefit from just being on for a longer period of time when you have people over.
I don't think any of us own stereo equipment enough that's good enough to enjoy, like truly enjoy your audiophile version.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I do. I mean, I'm speaking.
He is speaking.
Yeah.
I think that it's all bullshit.
Dig you out of that was deep.
Audiophile stuff. It's a freaking scam. And as somebody who's into audio, I think buying an audiophile record, sure. I think the nice thing about the audiophile records is that I'm pretty sure that like you're talking about it has like the brown shell.
Sure.
Usually, all of those releases have a custom remaster specifically for vinyl.
Certainly,
which you can really appreciate because it reduces the likelihood that you're going to get something that sounds bad.
I mean, I own a bunch of the ones that are like the half speed master ones, and they sound fine.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like you.
Could I tell
Does
you?
It sound
the
so good
difference?
that you would listen to an album that you don't like?
No.
Then who cares? Right? Like
I don't know if I agree with the logic because it's like you've just said that you're guaranteed to get a good sounding one. So it's like then I guess it's not BS because you're getting something guaranteed.
I think
to sound good.
it's like you're guaranteed, but like I think most albums get that remaster. It's only the occasional album that you get a bad pressing of that really sucks. And the only
I
benefit
mean, like
you
his
get,
Begonia album.
it's like
So true.
it's like paying for travel insurance.
Well, occasionally you need travel insurance.
That's exactly.
Yeah, you
what I was using as an example.
you might get, but like I'm saying, it's like you're paying travel insurance for for something that doesn't matter, for a trip that costs you $100.
Oh,
I don't know. I think I get more value out of it than $100. Like in that example of it's not that much money. I'd
How much
rather
did you
just
pay
enjoy
for it?
my album fully.
How much did you pay for the?
$40 American.
Oh,
So
$40 for an
60.
audiophile pressing? Okay,
Sure, why not? Yeah.
that's a normal pressing.
Yeah, no, they have.
I thought you were
they have
talking-
They have original pressing. That's I think another $10 cheaper.
I thought you were talking about like there's like the Steely Dan has like there's like a line that makes audiophile pressings.
Yeah.
And all of them are like 180 plus.
No, this one's just they call it audiophile edition. which has like a special rice paper sleeve. It's the 2 LP, 180 gram, versus, just one album, single LP, uncolored or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot compare to what a regular one sounds like, but I can say the quality and sound of a record does dramatically affect my enjoyment of the record.
Sure.
And I have ones that I want to listen to because they sound so good, and ones that I don't want to listen to because they don't sound good. And this is an album that I want to sound good, and I think that benefits from having a closer listen. Whereas not every single
I think
album
your biggest example, or the one you bring up every so often, is that Mother album that sounds awful.
Yeah, Very Good Bad Thing is the worst album I have ever purchased. It sounded like absolute dog doo-doo. And then there's things on the other end of the scale where it's like, my In Rainbows one sounds amazing. Pink Floyd sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Bill Withers sounded amazing. There are ones that I was like, how do you get this sound out of a record? And I wouldn't say this one goes that far, but it definitely gets closer to that end of the spectrum compared to most where you go, it sounds fine, but like I may as well listen on Apple Music.
I guess my contention with the whole with the premise is that are those other records audiophile records?
The ones that I have?
The ones like Bill Withers, Pink Floyd.
Well, Bill Withers is a music on vinyl release, and so that's probably not an audiophile one. It is a remaster, I think. And then Pink Floyd was the 50th anniversary edition.
Yeah, but the Pink Floyd album sounds, all of the pressings of
it's
it's
180 gram,
great.
because the Bill Withers one is 180 gram. Maybe it's just that 180 gram does the sound that much better. In Rainbows, I think, is a 45 as well.
Is your copy of Ziggy Stardust? Your Ziggy Stardust is a audiophile one, isn't it? You have?
I believe so.
I don't think it's an original audiophile though, isn't it? Or it's not.
I got it. I think that's when I chose to get one from Japan because it had like such a high pressing quality.
I think for me, here's my thought: buying something because it's called audio, buying a record with an audiophile version,
or buying it specifically,
is a marketing gimmick.
Sure.
That does not mean that all records should be allowed to sound bad, or that record quality doesn't vary, and all records should just sound good. And I don't like the audiophile term on vinyl being used to make an album overpriced. But if you can get it for $40, and that's audiophile,
and that's fine though.
Well, I mean,
it's
the
like,
copy
again, there are people who will pay to have guarantee better sound.
Sure.
And that is me for some albums, but then I don't think it's a gimmick. It's just a fact.
But yeah, but
it's like you can get to the same location by paying for economy.
You don't know.
Well, I'll buy another one. I'll up to you. But then you don't know that it's not in the same logic. So it's like I can pay for an economy.
That's what I'm saying. So then
Business Plus.
Don't pay for the expensive stuff.
Why not?
But with Business Plus, you get the seat.
Yeah, I get the album.
Yeah, but imagine if you couldn't see what anyone else was sitting in.
I'd rather have the guarantee that I have something nice.
Bell, you paid for the whole seat, but you're only getting the edge, or you only need the edge.
But you're only going to use the edge.
Yeah. Adam, what was your vinyl verdict?
This album is incredibly produced. The production is perfectly in place. Every layer is considered. Vocal take, perfect. It's so goddamn smooth that it almost falls into the backdrop too easily. While the album doesn't come close to overstaying its welcome, the lack of changes in energy across the album's runtime can make it feel like wallpaper. But every time you do take a look at that wallpaper, man, that's really nice wallpaper. I'm putting Why Lord by NxWorries in my 22nd spot, below Peach Pit's Being So Normal, and above Bill Withers' Just As I Am.
What do you think, Jamie?
I put it in our 15th spot, just above the Blue Album, and by Weezer, and just above the Blue Album, and just below Pez's Watouche. It's in good company.
Great company.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It was dangerously smooth, sometimes aggressively horny, sometimes desperate sounding, and sometimes lonely sounding, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Like a Mark Rothko painting, the longer you look, the more and more you get from it. Unless you don't have the mind to see more than that, or you don't want to because it's a square, in which case it's just a square. Luckily, I am in the mind of I see more than the square, I guess.
It's hip to be a square.
I love this album. I think it's really, really good, and it's an album that you can put on as wallpaper, and you go, this is great wallpaper, or you can go, this is something really powerful, really raw, relatable in ways that you don't enjoy, and you can bump and grind to it, which I think is a great album to have. I need more of those.
This guy needs to bump and grind. He's very lonely. Please reach out to him.
Don't. I'm putting Why Laud by NxWorries in the 7th spot, below Parachutes by Coldplay and above Band of the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. I think this is a great album that gets me grooving and in my feels at the same time, crying in the club. And it's an album that I put on for company fairly often already, and will be one that I continue to do so, especially as we come into the summer season. This feels like a hot, warm day, having fun, or being sad in the rain. And it's a great album to be able to do both.
Yeah.
It's something I'll listen to for a long time. Check it out. But what are we listening to next week, Jamie?
We're listening to, we've already talked about one of the songs from it. We talked about it on the Hot Singles in Your Area episode. So we're talking about Peter Gabriel's album, So, featuring the song Sledgehammer.
Bum, bum.
And also Big Time and some other songs. And Red Rain.
Sledgehammer.
Yeah. But mostly Sledgehammer.
I mean, it equally features a Big Time.
Big Time, yeah.
They're both one song.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sledgehammer is more than one song, though, if you think about it.
No, you've taken your stance.
No,
Don't try to backtrack.
No, I'm
now.
backtracking. I'm
Don't
backtracking.
backtrack now.
I'm backtracking 100.
Cool. I'm excited to listen. I never listened to anything else by Peter Gabriel.
You have actually. You listened to Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Oh, he's from that. It's
Yeah.
been so long. That was season 2?
Yeah.
But one of our early episodes in season 2. That
That's
might have
right,
been
yeah.
the first group of
That was
episodes.
that was the first episode. Yeah, the first 3, yeah.
It's. I'm excited to listen to more. I like Sledgehammer. Jamie has told me that Apple Music is the only one that has the 4K music video for Sledgehammer. So
Oh, it's so good, dude.
Because I didn't watch it when we did the Hot Singles episode.
He turns
I still
into
watched
fruit.
it. Yeah, I gotta watch it.
You gotta see it, man. You will not believe it. He turns into fruit.
Dude.
We'll do a quick aftercare because I do have to leave. But what's y'all's favorite fruit?
I like cantaloupe.
That's messed up, man. I'm honestly angry.
Whoa. What's wrong with cantaloupe?
All melon is bad.
What?
Even
All melon.
watermelon?
It's too watery.
Oh,
If watermelon was more like intense, I think watermelon.
I
would be
think
really
it depends on the kind of watermelon you get. If you get one that is very
Good.
sweet,
I go to the store and they
so
have a
good.
sign that just says
Dude,
watermelon.
like the most watermelon that you get in Canada, I feel like sucks these days. Ever since they started like going all seedless,
Yeah,
I feel like seeded
They're
watermelon.
seedless?
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to find like a seeded watermelon.
That's
now.
crazy. I haven't had a watermelon in a long time.
But like a good watermelon is
Hard to find.
a good watermelon is hard to find. Just like mangoes, I feel like when you have like a plus mango or an A plus watermelon, it is like one of the best experiences culinarily.
I feel the same way
ever.
about cantaloupe. You open up a
That
cantaloupe.
is crazy. I disagree. There is no way that I've ever.
If you
I-
cut up-
Cantaloupe get people sick too. Like, isn't it really easy to get like listeria from a cantaloupe?
I think so, but I've never had that happen to me. But
Not yet.
cantaloupe is one of those things where, like, if you get one that's kind of like light orange on the inside, it probably doesn't taste that great. But if you get one that's like a darker orange, it is so sweet. It's like when you get a really like a winter watermelon.
I will give you that. Cantaloupe is a sexy fruit. What do you think, Adam? What's your favorite fruit?
I just want to say I respect cantaloupe in terms of its reliability. It's never awful, but it's never truly great. And I also feel the same way about my favorite fruit to an extent.
Grapes.
No, apple, Cosmic Crisp apple.
Oh, Cosmic Crisps are so
Cosmic
expensive,
Apple.
dude.
Apple.
What are you, 8?
Dude, listen, man.
There are other fruits, man.
I appreciate its consistency.
What about a Granny Smith?
Granny Smiths are garbage unless you're
Whoa.
baking pies.
I gotta say, apples go up 2 tiers of greatness when they're cut. If you give me cut apple,
Dude,
I'll
like
eat them all
apple
day.
little
slices?
bit of, little bit of caramel.
No.
You don't want-
I just want to cut apple. But cutting an apple sucks.
You just like violence against apples.
Yeah, I want to eat the apple that's cut, but I hate cutting an apple. I can never do it right.
I like.
How do you fuck that up?
Actually, you know what? I also want to give a shout out to the navel orange.
You're being
No.
obtuse now.
No, that sucks.
The navel oranges suck.
He's trying to bait you. Don't take it. Don't take it. Just say yes, sir.
Sure, yes, sir.
My favorite fruit is the pineapple.
Pineapple?
Oh, I love pineapple. It's a snack that eats you
Like
back.
Dole Whip.
Sure. I mean, that is a form of pineapple, I
Yeah.
guess. I love pineapple, man. It's so good. It's really messy to cut. It's another one that
I
sucks
had,
to cut.
I had Dole
but-
Whip at Disneyland. It was great.
Yeah, it is really good. Pineapple's really, it's high up there.
Sure.
I do like grapes. I do like blackberries, but that's a berry. A cut apple would be pretty elite.
Raspberries also really good.
But what's your favorite fruit? If you're still listening, go down in the comments. Let us know what your favorite fruit is. And otherwise, we'll see you next week for Peter Gabriel's
Sledge. And, oh no, so Peter Gabriel. So wow, I screwed
Come
that up.
on, Jamie. God damn it.
Bye.
Bye.